My name is Jean.
Hey there, my name is Bob, and welcome to Live from the Planetarium.
The goal here is to present tips and techniques from live portions of planetarium programs.
And before we get started, we want to thank everyone involved with it, all the presenters that you're going to see, the planning committee, and of course GLPA, who sponsored this project.
You may choose to watch the whole video from start to finish.
The advantage of that, of course, is it follows a typical planetarium program, so if you kind of watch it all together, it's great, or you can watch individual scenes if you like to.
That's true. You can also watch, if you like a particular presenter, you can watch their whole program on the GLPA website.
Well, let's get started then. You're going to see different presenters, how they open up a planetarium show.
And guess what? Your clip is first.
Cool.
All right, down here, everyone. How you doing today? Good. Welcome to the planetarium. My name is Bob. I will be your host today. We are going to divide your show actually into two parts. Before you see the black hole show, we're going to take a little tour of the night sky. And we call this part of the show the skies over Milwaukee. There you go. And so we're going to recreate the sky tonight about an hour after sunset and just show you what to look for. We like to keep this part of the show pretty informal.
I like the way you set that up. You told them how the program is structured and that they're going to see the night sky in Milwaukee that evening. And we're just going to skip ahead to see your final introductory remarks.
Sounds good.
Also, make sure the cell phones are off and please do not check them during the show. And the last rule, since it's going to get dark in here in just a little bit, please, absolutely, positively no sleeping. Okay? None at all.
I love the way you have that little pause before the no sleeping rule.
Oh, thanks, Gene. It seems to work most of the time. On the next one, watch how Amy gives her introduction, and she gives a little sizzle before to prepare your audience. I have to warn you a little bit, folks. You're not going to see her on this one, so just listen carefully and enjoy.
What we'll be doing in this show is showing you some of the stars and constellations or patterns of stars that can be seen in tonight's sky with no clouds. And also a couple of planets that we might be able to see tonight, and telling you about other special sky events. And I'll also be talking a little bit about why looking deep into space is like having a time machine.
And now watch your colleague Mickey getting us ready for our place in the cosmos.
Great.
You're sitting in the Star Theater of the Moorhead Planetarium and Science Center, and you probably think you're sitting still. But you're actually turning a giant somersault every 24 hours at 1,000 miles an hour, riding around on this planet. And this planet, of course, is zipping around the sun at thousands of miles an hour. You're all holding onto your seats, right? It's a pretty wild ride.
Wow, that was great. Now, we have to remember, some people have never been to a planetarium before, so this next clip, we're going to watch Larry Muscati introduce the planetarium to a group of third graders.
Great.
Well, good afternoon, and welcome to our classroom, the planetarium. Good to be with everybody today. If you've never been to our classroom before, I want you to notice how my roof is like a movie theater screen. It's built in that dome shape for a very important reason. That's the shape that the sky has. At the bottom of my ceiling, that black line that goes all the way around us, well, out in your neighborhood, you won't see a black line like that. But that's where the earth and sky touch. What name do we give to that place where the earth meets the sky? We call it the horizon, that's right.
And I love the way that each presenter has their own personality and style coming through these clips.
Exactly. And let's watch how Jeff has his way of introducing the planetarium projector. Let's check it out.
But since some of you are here for the first time, I figured that we should probably explain a little bit about this place that we call a planetarium. We really call this room a planetarium, or sometimes we call this machine a planetarium. And in fact, we call this room a planetarium because of that machine. What we can do with that machine is shine lights up onto our ceiling so that we can make our ceiling in here look like the sky outside. And we can set our machine to show us the way the sky would look for any dates, or any time, any location. And right now, we have our projector set to show us the way the sky would look from a place called Madison, Wisconsin. Has anybody ever been there before? Like recently? Like Right now? That's right. So we have it set for here in Madison. And in fact, we have it set for today. But we don't have it set for right now. We have it set for about 8 o'clock this morning.
We decided it would be good to show a full introduction in its entirety.
Yeah, and watch on this next clip how April gets her audience to participate before the show even starts by asking what constellations they know.
It's a great way of gauging what your audience knows. And it's also surprising in these clips how many times planetariums start their programs with the question,
Your first visit to the planetarium for the first time? Oh, good. Welcome. This thing in the middle of the room is the star projector. It's going to be doing the sky up there on the ceiling. Right now it's set for today here in Atlanta. So we can make the sky go different speeds, move forward to what the sky looks like at midnight, look at the sky last week, last month. But we're going to keep pretty much for today. The program, the sky tonight, this is whatever you guys want to see that's up in the sky tonight, where the moon is, where the planets are, what constellations are visible. Does anybody have a favorite constellation? Favorite planet? You have one?
Orion.
Orion. Okay, that one's up pretty early in the morning, so we'll take a look for that one. What's another one? Yeah. Mars. Okay, that's up just before the sun as well. Anybody else? Constellations. Pictures in the stars? Cassiopeia. That's a good bright one. That's pretty easy to see. Okay. Dipper? Yeah, we can look at Big Dipper and Little Dipper. Okay. So we can take a look at where those constellations are. At the end of the program, if you're interested, there's a little star map up here. You're welcome to take one home that has the constellations that we can see from here in Atlanta. And you're welcome to take one of those at the end of the program. What we're going to be doing is then looking up at the sky. We'll start off in the daytime. And if you have questions during the program, and you raise your hand politely, I can't see in the dark. So go ahead and ask if you have a question. If I'm going too fast, if you don't understand anything, you can try to slow down a little bit. And during the program, the whole thing's about 35 minutes long. Just 2 housekeeping things before we get started. If you need to leave during the program, the exit doors are marked, and you can get out through that way. You'll not be able to get back in because in a few minutes the lights will go down, stars will come out. That's the program. Don't go to sleep during that part. Okay? So the program, if you need to leave during the program, you can get out through the exit doors. If you have a cell phone or a pager or any electronic device that makes a beep, if you could please be sure it's in the off position. We found out the old technology doesn't get along with some of the new technology. So if that's turned off, everything's going to be good. Okay? Let's take a look then at what the sky looks like tonight.
All right, now that we've introduced the planetarium and how people do that, let's get to the heart of the matter. And guess what, Jean? You're next.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I love this next clip of how you use models to introduce certain concepts. So let's watch.
Here's the Earth. And you know that the Earth goes around itself like this once a day, right? It completes that once a day. Do we feel that? No, we don't feel that. But what we see are the stars passing us by in the opposite direction. That's what we see. Okay, now I'm going to need Kiara's help, please. She offered to volunteer, which was very nice. I'm going to ask you to be the Earth. I'm going to ask you to hold the Earth. We're going to want to make sure that the Earth's path is free. So I'll ask you to collect your feet, please, because she's going to go around the planetarium. Thank you. This is going to be the sun right here in the middle of our room. And she's going to take the Earth. And when I ask you, you're going to start going around. And when I ask you to stop, you'll stop, please. Okay? So please start here in January. Keep on going. February, March, April. That's good. Stop right there, please. Can you turn to your right? These people here are stars. And you can twinkle if you like. You don't have to if you don't want. But there are the twinkling stars. Now, I can look at you and decide that, oh, I'm going to connect those 4 stars and call those a constellation. You might decide you're going to group them differently and call them something else. Different cultures at different times saw different stars, different patterns in the sky. Can you turn and face the...
Wow, Jean, I really love how your enthusiasm engages the audience.
I enjoy involving the audience as much as possible.
Yeah. Well, the next one, we're going to see another great example. We're going to watch Dave use his rocket collection to introduce a show for some preschoolers.
4, 3, 2,
rocket noise. So the space shuttle blasts off and flies higher, higher. And when this tank is empty, this fuel tank comes off. Can you hold that, please? And when this tank is empty, this fuel tank comes off. Can you hold that, please? Okay, more rocket noise. And the space shuttle flies higher and higher. And when this fuel tank is empty, it comes off. Can you hold that, please? And the space shuttle flies way up high where there's no air, and the astronauts want to come back home. Now take a look at the space shuttle rocket. It has wings. So when they want to come back home to Earth, it comes down and lands like an airplane.
Way to go, Dave.
Yeah, that was great. Now, another way to excite people is to get them to do predictions to see if they're right.
So that's where the moon was in our sky today at 8 o'clock in the morning. Now, we said that we were going to do some fast forward. You know, like if you're watching a movie and you press fast forward, it makes the movie go by faster. Well, we can press fast forward for our planetarium projector, and it'll make our daytime go by faster. But before we do that, I'd like to have you guys make a couple of predictions. Do you think the sun will still be in that same spot if we were outside at like noon? Okay. Point to where you think the sun would be in our sky today at noon. It looks like most of you are saying that the sun would be somewhere higher in the sky. Okay, so we'll have to check and see if that's true.
I love the way that Jeff pauses to give people a chance to think about their answers.
Yeah, let's watch him ask a trick question.
But is it really the sun and the moon that are moving? What's really moving? The Earth. How many people have seen the Earth? The real Earth, not a photograph of it. So if you aren't sure, I can help you to find it. All you have to do is sit up straight in your chair, lean forward, and look down. You see the Earth down there?
You gotta love those giggles.
Oh, definitely. And now we're ready for the big transition to the night sky. Here's Amy's approach.
It's actually daytime here in the Star Theater, so there's one star in the sky. What star is that? Sun. Yeah, the sun. So if you see the sun in the sky, if you wouldn't mind pointing to it so that others will see it as well. Yeah, it's up there. It's great. So keep an eye on that because you're about to experience the fastest sunset of your entire life.
I'm looking forward to using that fastest sunset line.
Yeah, me too. And now we're ready to see some stars.
Here's an interesting technique. Dan is going to interact with a pre-recorded program so he can speak with the stars.
Gee, thanks for the clear night.
Well, you're welcome.
It sure is nice to see all those bright boys and girls down there.
Say, how many of you stars are up there?
With just your eyes, you can see about 2,000 stars.
Wow, that's a lot of you. And I suppose you're all smaller and dimmer than the sun, right?
No, of course not. Remember, we're very far away. We look tiny, but a lot of us are much bigger and brighter than your sun.
Which ones?
Huh?
Which of you are bigger and brighter than the sun?
Well, me. And me. Don't forget me.
Sorry, who's talking? Which of you are saying that?
Gosh, where did you come from?
Earth?
Why don't you ask the children? Yeah, ask the kids.
Okay, everybody reach your hand up and point at a star you think might be bigger or brighter than the sun. Just go ahead and reach up and point at one.
See? They got it right. They're smart kids.
You know, Gene, another part of a good planetarium show is how to introduce the pointer. Let's watch how Ricky puts the pointer on part of the dome where everyone can find it.
All right, so where do we start? Well, I guess I have a little red arrow that I can put up in the sky to sort of point your attention around. So let's see what we can see up in the sky. You probably noticed we have a nice moon over here in our sky tonight.
I noticed how he slowly moves to his first target, Bob.
Yeah, that was great. Now we're ready to move on to the constellations. And guess what, Gene? It's you again. I love this part, how you slowly move to a star pattern that the kids might already be familiar with.
Hopefully.
The other group of stars is one that some of you might know already. where to find. Could you please point, if you know where it is, the Big Dipper? If you know where it is, please point to it. If you don't, that's fine. Okay, some of you have found it. It's in the city lights, but there it is.
Next up, we have Ricky encouraging a group response.
Has anyone seen that group of stars up in the real nighttime sky? Yeah? Does anybody know what it's called? Big Dipper, that's right. Big Dipper. I heard a couple Little Dippers in there too. And that's close. We're going to find the Little Dipper in just a second.
I like how he acknowledges all responses, including the Little Dippers.
Yeah, definitely. Now, we've all had audiences who really don't see bears.
Or dippers, for that matter.
You may be wondering something. You may be saying, Matt, I'm sorry, but those are not bears. I know what bears look like, and bears do not have tails. You are fooling me. Those aren't bears. Those are squirrels, just really big squirrels in the sky.
Squirrel, that's not bad, but I like to use giant mutant squirrel.
Yeah. Next, we're going to see Larry have his audience use a technique that he's just taught them to find the Big Dipper.
So I'm going to have you face the direction east and then practice measure about 8 hands high. Up 8 hands in the east. And are you somewhere about here? Well, I would bet that many of you would recognize this star pattern. The Big Dipper, that's right.
Now that we found the Big Dipper, John shows us how to find the North Star and the true reason why it doesn't move.
Those are known as the pointer stars, because those stars can help you find the North Star. If you use those two stars like my laser pointer, pointing in this direction, they point directly to Polaris. But you also have to know how far to go. Those two stars can also be used as a measuring stick. Call it a yardstick. If you go 5 times that distance up in that direction, you'll find the North Star. And I encourage you, here in the planetarium or outside, hold your arm out all the way and use 2 fingers to measure the distance between those 2 stars. And then measure 5 of those distances up in that direction. See which star you identify. For instance, if we wanted to have a South Star, and we chose this one, it's not quite there yet, but if we wait a few hours, the star will be right in the south. But it wouldn't be a very good name for it if we called it the South Star, would it? Because just in a few hours, it would move away from the southern sky. This wouldn't make a very good Southwest Star. That wouldn't make a very good West Star. Those stars are going to move. But Polaris, or the North Star, is very well named because it's always right there in the northern sky. And of course, the reason for that is Velcro.
Timing is everything with that joke.
Yeah, Velcro, that's a good one. Now that we figured out where the North Star is, let's get ourselves oriented to the rest of the directions.
Now you know you're looking north. And at this part of the show, I show you a nice little sign. The sign says, never eat soggy waffles. Well, I think you know what that means. See the big letters? N, that's for north, isn't it? E, that's for east. S for south, W for west. Now, when you get out and look at the sky, let's try it in here. We have the North Star. We know we're looking north because that star never moves. It's always in the north. Let's say that funny thing nicely. Never eat soggy waffles. Class, you're well on your way to being sky-watching experts of the universe.
A lot of planetarians want to highlight the difference between city and country sky. Dave has a unique way of making this transition.
Sky-watching in the city is a little hard because it's harder to see the stars. The streetlights are so bright. Well, let's have a little fun with this. Follow the flashlight beam down the sky. I want to take you to a tiny train station. Let's look. There. We've placed this train station way out in the country, far away from the lights of the city. How about 10 miles away? Now in real life, if we go 10 miles away from the city, the sky will look better because we won't have all those bright street lights in our eyes. But where's the train? Well, it's there. Hey, train engineer, turn on the passenger car lights, please. The lights have come on. Hey, train engineer, turn on the train motor, please. Listen, the train motor is on. Hey, train engineer, let's go from the city out to the darkness of the country where we can see more stars. All right, our train is moving. Now, class, you get to help. You get to help, and here's how. Remember, our station is 10 miles away. When I say 10, you shout, "Stop the train!" Now, the train is only 4 miles away, but already the city lights are disappearing in the distance. The sky looks better. We see more stars. The train is 6 miles away, and 7 to the edge of town where there are no street lights left. We are truly out in the country. 8, you know what to do now. We are 9 miles away. Get ready, class. 10, what do you say? Thank you, everyone. The train has stopped.
I want my own train.
I want one too. This train sequence gives a great transition for kids, young kids especially, to a dark room.
Definitely. Yeah, and we have to be aware of light pollution, and it's a great way to do it. But not everyone has light polluted skies, as Mike discovers in this next clip.
Mm-hmm.
How many of you, just by a quick clap of your hands, how many of you have ever seen the sky a lot darker than this? Okay. Now, out of you folks, how many of you see a much darker sky than this on a nightly basis? Okay. You have all of my envy now. I wish that I could do that. Meteor Mike now angry. Meteor Mike wish Meteor Mike could do that too. Do not make Meteor Mike bring in the firestorm of doom.
I like the way Meteor Mike's personality comes out.
Definitely, definitely. In this next clip, we're going to see Dan explain the constellations by comparing them to a map, a much more familiar concept to most students.
Mm-hmm. When we say constellation, what we really mean are a set of 88 star pictures agreed upon by scientists all over the world. What really happened is about 80 years ago, scientists from all over the world got together, formed an organization called the International Astronomical Union. They took a list of all the constellations they had through all of history and chose 88 that would cover the sky without overlapping. They did this because when they had these 88, they could then draw borders around them to divide the sky up into pieces. Each of these pieces are what the constellations really are. Now this works for the scientists like a map of the sky. It kind of works like a map of the United States. If you have a map of the United States without any state lines drawn on it, you have to find a city or a town. You have to look over the whole country to find the city or town you want. But if you draw on the state lines, you only have to look in the state you know your city or town will be in. That's how scientists use this map of the sky.
We are wrapping up our constellation segment with one of our favorite mantras from Dan.
An important thing to always know about the constellations is that they're not really up there. Nobody went into the sky and arranged the stars to make these pictures. The stars are really randomly spread around us in space. But ever since people have looked into the sky, we've tried to make sense of it by finding patterns and pictures. It's only our imagination that creates these constellations. Now, I've shown you a few star pictures, but one thing I always like to mention is that you don't have to see what I showed you. My absolute favorite thing about the sky is that the sky belongs to everybody.
Ah, but the sky changes. Next up, we're going to watch how Larry transports his audience to a home setting to illustrate the passage of time.
Suppose one night you go outdoors, you see the dippers, the lion, and the moon. You then go inside and read a chapter from your favorite book. When you come back outside, is this what you expect to see? No. Let's find out first about some of the great books that you're reading. If you'd like to share the title of a book, raise your hand. I'm just going to go quickly around. How about in the back?
Nate the Great.
Ah, Nate the Great. Sounds fun.
Visitors from Space.
Visitors from space. Boy, that sounds like one I should read. Captain Underpants. I bet is that kind of a funny one? How about over there?
Judy Jones.
Judy Jones. And one more.
Secrets of the Moon.
Secrets of the Moon. Sounds interesting. Well, say if you went indoors then and read some of those great books, when you come back outside, do you expect to see this? Well, let me show you what happened while you were inside reading. Do you notice what I see?
No.
It looks to me like everything is changing its place while you're inside reading one of those great books. Well, why would that happen?
I love the way he incorporates reading as an attractive way to spend time. Mm-hmm. And now we'll see an opportunity for the audience to show what they know.
Well, let me check you out, see how well you're doing. If you can find the Big Dipper all by yourself, clap your hands twice. If you can find the North Star and Little Dipper, snap your fingers twice. Good job. Remember how that Big Dipper helps you? And notice how the spoons of the two dippers face each other. If you can find Leo the Lion, let me hear you roar like one. Good effort. Very good.
Wow, I bet you kids love doing that roar. That was cool. Larry, he just does it so great. He uses group responses, he uses kinesthetics to improve understanding.
Mm-hmm. And let's not forget to pause and give an opportunity to audiences to ask questions, like Larry.
Well, let me pause for a moment and just check with you to see if there might be any questions about things that we studied so far. If you have other questions about the universe, I'm going to save some time at the end for those. But anything about things we studied so far?
You know, Gene, planetarium shows can be powerful and even overwhelming at times, and it's really important that we explicitly state the main point.
That's true, Bob.
I've heard people say that if the night light has color, it must be a planet. But check this out. Over here, that star has sort of a yellow color. And I notice over here a star with kind of a red-orange color. If planets were so easy to find, we'd go out every night and locate them. So here's the lesson I'd like you to learn today. Listen carefully. From your backyard, stars and planets look the same, but planets behave like the moon. So let me add the moon to our classroom sky.
Now, I think it's easier for audiences to look for constellations if there's a good story attached.
Yeah, exactly. I love a good story. Here's a great tale from Dan.
Perseus was a prince from Greece who was sent on a mission to kill the monster Medusa, probably one of the most famous monsters out of Greek myth. She originally was a woman, but was transformed into a horrifying monster with snakes for hair. That was so ugly, if you looked at her, you would turn to stone. Perseus, with the help of gods like Athena and Hermes, took a shield, polished it till it shone like a mirror, and then when he went to fight Medusa, she looked in the mirror, saw herself, and turned herself to stone. Perseus could then just chop off her head and run off with it. Now, Medusa lived with her sisters, who were monsters like her, who would have gotten Perseus were it not for the fact that out of Medusa's neck sprung Pegasus. So this flying horse just flies out of this monster's neck. Perseus jumps on it and flies away on it. And as he's flying away, he happens to pass over Ethiopia. And he sees this young princess tied up to the beach. Figures he's not much of a hero, he just lets monsters eat princesses. So he swoops down, shows the head of Medusa to Cetus. Even though Medusa is dead, she's still so horrifying that the sea monster turns to stone, sinks, and he rescues Andromeda. And they fly off back to Greece and live happily ever after.
And watch how April draws out the same story from a child in the audience.
A little bit down by the prince's feet here is Perseus, the hero. You familiar with that story? The Andromeda story? No? What is it? Remember it? Mm-hmm. The Andromeda story? How does it go? Andromeda's the princess and these are her parents, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and...
And she was chained to a rock to a weighted bait, and she was sacrificed to a sea monster, which is also a constellation, Constellation Stories.
Good, and there it is right there. Not very bright stars. Okay, keep going. So what happened? Did the sea monster eat her?
Nope.
What happened?
Perseus, after he slayed Medusa, he used Medusa's head to turn. He used Medusa's head to turn Thetis into stone.
Excellent. So the monster turned into stone, and then what happened? What happened to the princess? Is she still there?
Yeah.
Andromeda, the princess. Andromeda.
And Perseus cut her loose.
Mm-hmm.
And that's about all I know.
Oh, that's pretty good. Good for you. I think a round of applause is in order. Good job.
Yes, applause. That was great. Nicely done. Speaking of audience participation, let's watch how Amy responds to a spontaneous request.
All right, do we have a question on the left? I'm hearing a lot of vocals. I'm wondering if there's a question. A question on the right. Yes, excuse me. Go ahead.
Can I see the moon?
The moon! I have a story for you about the moon, and thank you for asking for it because that'll give me an excuse to tell it. If we want to see the moon, we have to stay up late because the moon doesn't actually rise tonight until almost 11. So hold on to your seats because we're going to go forward into the future. Here we go. We're going to go to 11. Well, we're going to have to go past 11 so you can actually see it rise and get higher. I hope some of you all had coffee with your dinner because I'm going to keep you up till 1 a.m. Here we go. Oh, there it is. There it is. It's rising next to Jupiter. There's Jupiter. There's the moon. And you are welcome.
And sometimes audience participation needs to be managed. Check out how Dave tries to reel his audience in a little bit.
Now you know the shape of the Big Dipper. It has 3 stars in the handle. It has 4 stars that make the cup that would hold the water. Now nicely, can you all say Big Dipper? Okay, take a look. There's our Big Dipper. Now, we're going to do something here with the Big Dipper. We're going to nicely, now, some of you know what inside voices are. I think that's a good idea in here. Nicely, let's count all 7 stars in the Big Dipper. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Wow, that was a great way to quiet an audience that was getting a little loud, a little out of control.
But sometimes, you know, Bob, we have problems with our equipment as well.
Yeah, it's not just the unruly kids once in a while.
No. So watch this example, how Michael uses humor to walk through a problem with his star field.
Yep.
Let me go ahead and turn the sky a little bit. And I have to tell you that this big hole in the center of the sky, no, a great big monster did not come and take a bite out of our sky. Unless you want to call that monster our Zeiss 6 model, which is sitting in the center of our dome, which decided just not to project them right now. I'm going to try to trick it. Oh, it worked. Right? Sometimes it just has things that get stuck on it. It is 40 years old. I'm almost 40 years old. Some things get stuck on me too.
Wow, equipment can be aggravating sometimes, but that was a nice cover. Next up, we're going to watch April go back in time with the Star Machine when an audience member asked to see something that's already set.
There's a big square that makes Pegasus. Actually, we're going to back up here. This is not what you're going to see out in the real sky. This is the Earth rotating backwards for a second so that we can get Pegasus, the flying horse. See his big wing over here?
Oh, I see it.
Okay, and then there's her front legs, and there's the head.
I like the way how April states that she's going to move the sky backwards so she doesn't confuse her audience.
Definitely. Next up, we're going to see Michael move the sky forward to get the moon in the right place.
And notice how he doesn't get flustered and he's transparent about what he's doing.
Now it turns out if you were to go outside this evening, it looks like my star machine has maybe done something a little weird. It has put the moon in a position for last night. So this is, of course, this is just my excuse to show you how quickly the moon moves from one night to the next. Just keep your eyes on the moon. From one night to the next night, that's about how much it's going to move.
I love the way he used that little glitch with the moon as a teaching moment. We have to work through those glitches.
We do. And check out how Amy continues her lovely story despite a problem with a microphone.
A long time ago, this is a Lithuanian story that I learned from a teller named Lynn Maroney. A long time ago, the sun and the moon were always together in the sky. You'd see sun and you'd see moon. You'd see moon and you'd see sun. And as it sometimes happens, sun and moon spent so much time together, they began to notice each other. Moon noticed that sun had a very bright, shining face and golden streams of hair going off in all directions from her face. And sun, she noticed that moon was cold, dark, and handsome. And sun and moon fell in love. And they decided to get married, and they lived together in a house at the top of the sky. And time went by, and their microphone dropped off. Hold on a second. All right, can y'all hear me okay? Yes. Okay, so time went by, and sun and moon were together in the house at the top of the sky, and as it sometimes happens, a baby was born.
All right, we've seen how different planetarian people have shown the sky, right, and how it changes, and some good storytelling. How do we effectively end a planetarium show?
Well, one good way is to review what the audience has learned.
Okay, let's watch Dave give his Mr. D's famous quiz.
Do you remember when we started? We started in the handle of the Big Dipper. Let's start there. We counted, and we got to stars 6 and 7. Class, for your first question, what are these stars called? Good for you, class. You got it. You're well on your way. Away goes the Big Dipper. All right, here we go. The pointer stars point us to a very special star. Class, what is this star? Good for you, the North Star. Is that the brightest star at night? No, it is not, but it doesn't do something. It doesn't what? It doesn't move. Good for you, class. Away goes the little bear. Now we know we're looking north because we found the North Star. Class, what's that funny thing to say? Never eat soggy waffles. You got it.
And now he rewards his audience.
Clap for yourselves, class. You are skywatching experts of the universe. Congratulations, class.
Wow, did you see the excitement of those kids?
They really felt rewarded.
Yeah. Folks, we're finally at the end of our program. Let's watch Dan how he finishes his show with the friendly stars.
All right. You did a pretty good job after all.
Well, thank you. Were you stars listening the whole time? It's kind of embarrassing.
Sure. We'd love to hear stories about us stars.
And we hope the children enjoyed listening too.
Well, I hope everyone had a good time, but we've seen a few things in the night sky, so...
Hey, listen. The sun is coming. It must be almost morning. Yes, the sky is beginning to brighten. Goodbye, girls and boys.
So long. See you again real soon.
Don't forget to look for us. Bye. 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 Bye.
Well, thanks for saying goodbye to the stars. We've got the sun having a nice sunrise in the east. And that means that you have gone through a whole day and a whole night here in the planetarium. So I'd like to thank you all so much for coming today, and thank you for all your help with the show. It wouldn't have been as good without you, so thank you very much. Now I'd like to ask everyone, take a few seconds, look all around your seat, look under your seat, look behind your seat, make sure you didn't drop anything, that nothing fell out of your pockets, and that you're not leaving any trash behind. Once you have everything, follow your parents and your teachers out the doors to your left. If you have a question or if you have something to say to me, I'll be right up here so you can talk to me on the way out. But if not, thanks for coming and have a great day.
I'm sure that many of you have had to use audience reminders at the end of your presentations.
Oh yeah, I always got to tell my audience to make sure to check their seats so they don't leave anything behind.
Yeah, indeed. And I can't wait to use these tips and techniques for some of my own programs.
Oh yeah, we have such great talent out there. It's really unbelievable.
We would like to thank the contributors of all the clips, the GLPA and its members for their support, the Madison School District TV staff, and of course, the Live from the Planetarium team.
And remember, everyone, if you like a particular presenter's style, you can get all of it in its entirety on the GLPA website.
Clear skies, everybody.
Yeah, clear skies, everyone. Thanks for listening and watching. Hey, Gene, when are we going to start filming the sequel?